Hi everyone, this is Luxthos, and today I'm bringing you a brand new video for World of Warcraft. Yes, we have an update for the WeakAuras for 10.1.5, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of all the new stuff. First of all, we are bringing Augmentation to Evoker. So brand new specialization. It's going to have all the brand new abilities, all of the fun stuff for Augmentation. It is done. It is ready to go. You guys are going to be able to play and experience this brand new class with your WeakAuras. We're going to have also changes for all of the different class that got changes. There was a lot of them, but more specifically, I think Mages are going to be expecting changes, and Paladin. Obviously, there's modification here and there for a couple spell for PvP and PvE for different classes. We got some bug fixes. For example, Evoker had some issue with their resources, with essences. So that's been fixed, or at least there is a more accurate version of the progression that's being done. So that's nice. And there's various bug fixes across a bunch of stuff. And we have some new custom option features that have been requested. And I want to also explain some of the new ones that weren't new this update, but have been implemented since the first video. And I wanted to cover them in this video on top of the new feature that we just added with this recent update. We're going to move on to updating the WeakAura, because this is a very, very, very important process. You got a couple ways to go about this. So if you already have the WeakAuras installed on your version of World of Warcraft right now, you can either do a update, which is rather straightforward, especially if you want to maintain some of the customization you might have done, or you can install it the clean way. So this is going to lose and wipe every customization you've done, but it's going to be the most safe, and I don't know if I want to use the word safe, but it's going to be the most clean way, and you're going to be sure that there's no issue or no bug happening with the import, right? So it's going to resolve a lot of those issues that could be happening, but we're going to go over updating real quick, because most of you customize the WeakAuras. That's the reason we added so many custom options, is because you could change the design, change the layout, and all of that fun stuff. So you want to be able to keep those. So it's going to be really straightforward. I recommend that you use something called WeakAura Companion. That is very, very nice. It is going to allow you to maintain all of your WeakAuras up to date very easily, and it's going to also let you know when there's a new update. There's been some issues with WeakAura Companions not fully clearing out. Sometimes it will let you know that you have a WeakAura that needs to be updated. You'll click it, you'll update, and then it stays there. If you ever experience that issue, make sure you delete the aura completely and install it fresh. I know it's going to wipe your setting on all that stuff, but there was an error, I think, at the start of the expansion where the link between the source of update and the game wasn't being properly done, and it caused a lot of these issues. So if you're still experiencing this with some of your auras where you're updating and it's not clearing the little... if you're using Companion at the moment, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not using it and you want to learn more about it, I'm going to put a link in the description down below. I have a guide that's pretty dated, but it's still accurate on how to update and how to function with WeakAura Companion. So if you have this issue where you're updating them, but it's still giving you the message for the update, make sure that you delete the aura and install a brand new copy, right? And the next option to update are going to be either from my website or from Wego. They're both the same source, so my website is pulling the data directly from Wego, so you can go on either or, and it's going to be really straightforward, right? So if you've already been on my website once or on Wego to install the auras, you can simply click for your favorite class. So you can go here, Dragonflight WeakAuras, and then you're going to go to your favorite class. You can click this right here, and you're going to be able to install fresh or to update. So that's going to be very, very nice. All you got to do here is import, and then you paste this code right here, and you're going to be able to update the auras. I recommend that everybody updates their auras, even if your class didn't get any changes, like Hunter, Demon Hunter. There was not a lot of changes this last patch. I still recommend that you do so, because we have some new features that are going to be really, really nice, and there is some bug fixes in the code as well. So I recommend that every single class do this. Make sure that you update. We're going to go real quick over how to update properly. I think this is going to be very important to cover. So whenever you import the strings from my website, from Wego, or even from WeakAura Companion, you're always going to be prompted this little window here. You have a choice between creating a copy, which you don't want to do. You never want to have copies of the ores. you want to click Update Auras. And then it's going to ask you, what do you want to update? There is some things that you can leave unchecked that will keep some of your configuration, and I recommend that you leave everything else checked to make sure that no issues happen. So I made a very, very quick list of things that you can leave unchecked. So custom configuration is all of the custom options that you've modified, right? So if you've added borders from the special configuration, custom configuration option, if you've modified a little bit the layout with the custom configuration tab, which we're going to talk about in a couple of seconds here. If you've made any modifications to this, which you should be doing all of your modifications there because it's easier for you to update, you can leave this one unchecked. It is not going to update it and erase the data. So you're going to keep all of your changes. So that's very important. Group arrangement is pretty nice to leave unchecked if you've modified the order of certain icons, right? So let's say that in your auras, you had agony before corruption. If you swap them position, unchecking group arrangement here is going to allow you to keep that order. So this is pretty nice. Remove obsolete aura is okay to leave unchecked if you've added auras yourself. So let's say that you took maybe the racial and trinket from my racial and trinket package and you've added them somewhere into your auras. Well, if you leave this unchecked, they will not be deleted. Otherwise, if you leave it checked, they're going to be gone as you update. So that's a good one that you can leave unchecked. Load conditions there's a little asterisk next to the side here because if you've ever modified, because some auras, I create them with the load setting never load because I think that they're not necessary for your rotation, but I still add them in there in case you want to see it, right? So some auras behave this way. So if there's ever anything that you're wondering, why am I not seeing it? I think I should be seeing it. It could be set up to never loaded. So make sure that if you've modified some of these, you can leave this unchecked, but this can also cause some issue. In some cases, if you've played with the load condition, I don't recommend that you do so, especially not with the class or the talent section. I really, really don't recommend that you play with those. It's going to break things. The only thing is going to be the never load for certain auras, certain icons. If you want them to show up or don't want them to show up, that could be something that you could leave unchecked. Everything else needs to be left alone. So aura name, display, trigger, condition, action, author option, metadata, all of that other stuff. Make sure that you leave that checked because it needs to update to make sure that it works properly. So that's going to be very, very, very important. I'm not going to update here. I already have the latest version. So we're going to be good to go with this. So make sure that every class is updated. Everything is good to go. And if you follow these little steps, you're not going to have any problem here. So the custom configuration that I was talking about is this custom options panel here. This is where all of your modifications should be for the global style and all of that good stuff. Talking about custom options, we're now going to move over to the new feature that we've recently added. So we've added a bunch of new custom options since the first video, since we first released the auras at the beginning of Dragonflight. So we're going to go over them. The first one that you're going to be able to see that's new is in the Alpha tab. So some of you might have already seen this if you've imported the auras recently. This is not a new feature for this new update, but it was new since the beginning of Dragonflight. And the biggest one here is that by default, we are hiding the WeakAuras while dragon riding. This allows you to position your UI for the dragon riding right in the middle of your screen if you want to, and it doesn't, create too much UI elements. Obviously, if you would like to change this is very simple, but this is something that is done out of the box. So some people often ask like, hey, I imported the auras and I don't see them. Well, it's because you're probably on your dragon. So just unride your dragon and you're going to be good to go. But if you want to change the setting, it's going to be really straightforward. Simply pump this all the way back up to 100, or you can even fade it out, right? If you just want like 50%, for example, you'll be able to have 50% alpha while dragon riding, if that's something that you so desire. You can also uncheck dragon riding only, which is going to apply that alpha setting to every single mount that you ride. So we're going to leave it at 0 because I do like to have my vigor UI in the middle of my screen here. So that's going to be for the first modification we've done here. The second one is going to be the core icons. So one of the biggest changes we've done is added a minimum number of icons. So the way that the WeakAuras work right now, and the way that we've set this up, is that we have a maximum currently of 8 icons by default. And If you go over this, all the other icons are going to go into the overflow. This is what we call it. Because of the way Dragonflight was shaping to be, it was a lot of abilities, massive challenge tree with a lot of choices, ability coming in and out. We had to come up with a way to create some kind of bank or overflow if you picked up too many abilities and without ruining your main layout, right? So this is really, really nice. We've already had this in the past. But also, some classes have very little ability in some cases, especially if you're using the WeakAuras to level. What ends up happening is you can end up with WeakAuras that are very, very small like this, right? They're going to have a very limited of main icons, and then you're going to end up with very low or very short width resources. You can use this to actually fight the push back from having little ability. Obviously, this is going to create something funky here with the overflow, but if you're currently leveling with a brand new class, or you're just playing one of those class that has very few abilities in their rotation, you can actually force the rest of the UI to actually adapt in width. So obviously, this is not something you would use if you have overflow. This is more going to be a feature that you can use if you are leveling or if you have a class that has very few ability and you would still like to maintain the full width of the resources. So that's going to be a pretty nice new feature that we've recently just added into the core here. The last feature, which is something that we've added this update, so this is brand new, is going to be more control over the side icon. So this is something that was heavily requested, and I really wanted to have this as part of this update here. It is the side icon group. So on the side here, for those of you that have been using these, you have two little groups, and by default, they are empty. Right, so by default, they are empty, and they contains no icon. But if you want, you can create whatever you want. You can modify this. You can move icons to them as well. If you would like to have your major cooldown, maybe you would like to have, I don't know, blistering scale, breath, and tip, for example. Let's move those to the left side here. So I can simply drag and drop, and they're going to automatically move and position themselves over to the left side over here. And one of the new features that we've added here is if you go back to the main group, I'll always make sure that you click the class one here, is that we've added a number per column per row, and we've added a grow direction here. So the grow direction for the side group, you're going to be able to grow downward or upward. So if you would like to have this grow over the top here, you can do that. That's a possibility. If you would like to have it grow downward, so starting here, but as a row instead of a column, so it's going to grow out as a row outward, but it's going to be positioned downward here, and the same thing can be done of the upward position here, but in a row format. And the really, really cool new feature is that you can actually control the grid layout. So for example, right now we don't have enough ability to trigger this, but let's say that we duplicate a couple scale, right? Let's say that we duplicate this and then we go back. You're going to start seeing what happens here. This one is going to be one icon per column / row. And then if we move this, you can start creating grids. So you can create a maximum, for example, of 2 per row, or a maximum of 3 per row. So this will split it out in multiple columns. So you can start playing with this and pretty much do whatever you want here. So this is going to be in a maximum height, maximum row. So right now there's a maximum of 3. If I was to duplicate more of these, for example, 2 more, it should have created another column here. Because the maximum of row it can reach is 3, so it's just going to keep propagating icon this way. So this is really, really nice. Allows you more customization. If you want, you can have them be all downward. You can have a maximum of 2, maximum of 3, or even a maximum of 4 if you want all of them to line up this way. You can customize it as you want, and you're going to be able to do this not only for the left side, but also for the right side here. So we're going to move these back where they were. We're simply going to delete all. We're going to move this back into the core. Make sure that if you make these modifications, you know where they previously were. And there we go. We're back to normal. So that was one of the new features that was added recently in the patch for the patch 10.1.5. The other were added a little bit in previous patches, but they were not mentioned or talked about in the original video. So that's pretty much going to be it. You got the new Augmentation WeakAuras here for you to be able to play with. You got your new class changes, bug fixes, and new features as well that you're going to be able to use to customize your WeakAuras. The update for these is going to be available as of the 10th late at night or the early 11th, depending on where you live. So this is going to be available pretty soon. Make sure that you don't update these if you're playing in the EU and you don't have the patch yet. You know, there's a couple of cycles that you need to make sure you go through. Make sure that you update the add-on for WeakAuras. If there's any update to it, make sure you grab the latest stable version. Make sure you don't update to a unstable version, right, when you're downloading the add-on. So when you right-click here, make sure that your release type is set to release. Make sure you don't have beta or alpha. You're going to start having some issues. So make sure you're at release. Right now, we're at 5.5.7, but there could be a new version coming up soon, especially with a new patch. That could be entirely possible. So make sure that you check that. Make sure you're up to date and ready to go. If there's a new update and anything breaks, I'll make sure to fix it as soon as possible, and we'll update it, and you guys are going to be good to go. So that's it for this video. I try to make it as quick as we could here to condense all the information into one small video so you guys could be all up to date and ready for the new patch in World of Warcraft. Again, if you like these videos, if you want to show any kind of support, make sure to leave a comment if you enjoy these. If you want more of the update videos, you can leave a like as well. You can come say hi on Twitch. I stream pretty much every day, a wide variety of game. We might even be playing some World of Warcraft to test out the new Warlock changes, so that could be fun. But until then, my friend, I'll see you in Azeroth or maybe on Twitch. Who knows? Have a good one. Bye-bye.